Welcome to today's episode of Confessions of a Cleaning Business Owner. Today's title, Diane's just told me she's not smart, she just works harder than me. And I think this is a little bit, we're going to talk about the sort of hustle culture. Is the answer to building a good business, you just need to work harder than everyone else? And Diane and I had a little chat about this, and hands up, in my early career, before I even got into cleaning, the way that I got to the top in my industry was I worked harder. I put in, like I arrived at probably 5 minutes after the time I was supposed to arrive. I did 2 hours extra every single day. So I wasn't doing an 8.5 hour workday. I was doing a 10.5 hour workday. And it's not unusual. I'd go in and do another 3 hours on a Saturday morning. I was working an extra 10 to 12 hours a week, Diane. And that's how I got to the top. And I think it's true a little bit in the cleaning industry. If you are cleaning for 8 hours a day and you are maxed out, you've got to pull a couple of hours a day out of somewhere if you want to grow your way out of it. Is this true? Is it about working harder and harder and harder?
I think that there's an element of this, and I know that, we talked about hustle culture before and, the 5 a.m. club and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, the reality is you should work to your own rhythm. I don't do 5 a.m., but I will quite often do 11 p.m. because that's just more my natural body clock. But I don't think it's a long-term plan. I think that we can all work hard. And actually, as business owners, I think as business owners, I definitely know about me personally, I've worked harder than anybody in my team. I have definitely grafted and grafted and grafted to build the business that I've got. But it can't be forever. It can't be the only plan for me is to work harder than everybody else. I think as a business owner, I take more risks than anybody else. And certainly, I think back to when we first started investing in property, we remortgaged our house, literally remortgaged our own home in order to have the cash to start investing and building a property portfolio. We now have no mortgage because of that risk that we took. So I think your mindset as a business owner is so different to everybody else that you do work harder, but I do think there needs to be a plan that you're also working smart and you're building efficiencies in and you're growing a business that one day won't need you to work quite so hard.
I find this really hard sometimes when I'm coaching people because they are slogging out 7 or 8 hours cleaning a day. And I can hand on heart say they are working harder than, well, I have done that in the past, to be fair, but only when it's gone horribly wrong. And they're working harder. And I'm like, how about you don't do that? Like, it isn't about killing yourself doing it. And when I've been working and I've cleaned for 10 hours a day and I did it for 4 weeks straight, oh my God, I was dead by the end of it. But the point was, I did it because for some reason we'd got rid of like far too many staff at that time. And I'm going to say we got rid of them because we probably did. And I knew it was short term and I had to be clocking up 10 hours a day, 8 hours cleaning and 2 hours recruiting because it was the only way I was going to get out of this hole. And I knew it was going to be for 4 weeks. But people are working really, really hard. And it's so hard saying to someone, I know you're maxed out, but I need you to give me a little bit more. You need to push even harder short term because it's the only way you're going to get out of it. And so there are times when you have to just work yourself to the bone.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we chatted before, didn't we, about, when people talk about retirement age, and it really annoys me, people in a job where it's not a physical job saying, well, you don't need to retire at 60 or 65 or 67 as it is for my age group. And it's like, actually, if you're in a really physical job, it's hard to carry on after a certain age. And it's understanding that. And those in our industry that are out cleaning every day, it's flipping hard. We've both been there and done that. I did that probably for the first 5 years of my business. I was out cleaning all day and then doing sales appointments in the evening, returning phone calls, dealing with team issues, recruiting, all that stuff completely outside of it. So I get it, but it could never have been my long-term plan. If I was still doing that now, I would be worn out. And that's where this sort of, working hard. Yeah, as business owners, I do think we do work harder than anybody else, but it's got to be in order to get us to a different place where we don't have to go out and physically do the work every single day.
Yeah, and I find that even now, When a problem hits, so last night I was working till 12:30, right? And we were recording podcasts. I was like, damn, I need an hour's break because I need to go and get this done. As a business owner, I think I still sacrifice whatever needs to be sacrificed. I will put that business first. But I also structure my life so that that shouldn't happen. It is at the moment. But I also, the other thing as well is I think we get into a culture where, as a business owner, particularly when you've been working at that rate for a certain amount of time, you can't then relax and you feel so much guilt. I now don't feel any guilt if I choose in the middle of the day to watch an hour's, well, I'm on Suits at the moment, an hour's TV, an hour's Netflix. I don't feel any guilt because I know I've put in the hard work beyond anyone else. So I feel no guilt when I don't do it. Or if I go and get a facial on like a Friday morning, I feel no guilt because I'm like, I've worked to deserve this. But I think that for people that just come off the tools, they feel immense guilt.
Yeah, I've spoken to people that are like, okay, I'm off the tools, but I kind of don't know what my job is anymore. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing. And then they end up being a little bit sort of overwhelmed by that or guilty, and then they procrastinate and don't do the things that actually they should be doing to then grow the business to the next stage. I think our identity is tied up with how we started the business sometimes, isn't it? Whether that's because we wanted to fit around family or we just were working for somebody else and wanted to do it differently, whatever the reasons, that's our identity. And we need to, as we come off the tools, our identity in the business changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I've got a slightly different perspective as well. I think as humans, we're happier when we're physically doing something. And I see this time and time again. Like, I don't find it stressful at all to clean. Physically, it can be demanding depending on how much you do, but I don't find it stressful. I really enjoy it. And obviously, when I go out and do the beekeeping, anything hands-on and physical, I think as humans, we're hardwired to see that as work and enjoy it. And I think that as you move on, and for example, if you spend an hour on social media, regardless of whether you are posting and replying to comments and things like that, and actually building your business, do you see that as work or do you feel a bit of guilt? And a lot of it is how we internally cope with what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. And it's sometimes I mean, I was criticized recently on social media for sharing a picture of my swimming pool and me, and I was offering some free coaching sessions to people.
Do you
I
get
was kind
criticized for that?
I
I
did. I
saw
got
that.
criticized for it. I got loads and loads of positive stuff. In fact, my diary is completely full. So apologies if you tried to book. I've closed my diary for the next month. But yeah, and it was just, I thought it was a nice post. And I was just saying, this is what I've done. I would love to help some of you. I'm offering free coaching sessions. I don't see what was wrong with that, but I was criticized for using my swimming pool as, marketing. And I'm like, but it's my swimming pool. I literally do have a swimming pool. And it was a weird moment for me because I was just like, should I feel guilty that I've used what I've achieved to potentially, obviously, the free coaching sessions, they might turn into clients, who knows, but I am literally offering my time for free. But then I thought, no, because I worked really flipping hard for that. And I know that I grafted and all those years of literally 15-hour days, never mind a 10-hour day, that would be a luxury, but 15-hour days, just work, work, work. Yeah, I did my best to fit it around family, but there were times when I didn't. And so, yeah, I don't think my identity is now that person that was grafting. I think that identity now is different. So I think I've managed to change my perspective of myself and my role in the business as I've moved through. But it's been a long time too.
Do you know? So I read that post, right? I was away on holiday on a cruise at the time, right? Which I don't talk about. But anyway, I read that post and it was quite an unusual post from you, Diane, because it did talk about you rather than the DCBN and the cleaning industry, which is what the two of us, predominantly talk about. We don't so much talk about ourselves. So I read that post and I liked it. And I actually had very little internet on a sea day. But yeah, it did stand out. And I can see why you got criticism because it was very different, you talking about yourself. And I was like, good on you. But yeah, it was quite different and I quite liked it.
Well, I suppose maybe, it's an identity shift for me when we talk about, identity shift within our cleaning business, where you go from being the cleaner to then being the manager of the team, but still cleaning alongside. Then you go to off the tools, perhaps, and then you move forward from that. So I suppose for me, I've kind of been on the same journey as everybody else. Me and you, Louise, we've been on the same journey, haven't we? And differently, but it's still
So it's
fundamentally the
very
same
similar.
journey. And then the DCBN came along, and I've been all about helping other people, but my identity has been part of the DCBN. So yeah, it was a step aside for me, I suppose, to go, I'm here, I'm actually Diane, and I live in France, and I run my cleaning business, and I'm putting myself out here to help you as me, not just as the DCBN. So yeah, it was probably a little bit, maybe that's why it rattled a few cages, I don't know, but I don't mind, it's fine.
I liked it was you, and you were offering coaching, and you've been doing coaching for so long. And I see so many people that pop up and, what do you call it? Selling or grabbing the golden something or other. I've forgotten what you call it. And it's like the latest shiny penny. That's what it
Yes,
is.
shiny pennies. Yeah, yeah.
Whereas you are, I'm not sure I'm going to describe you right. You're just solid. It's just good, solid, grounded business
Yeah,
advice.
I
And if
definitely don't sell get rich quick. And maybe I do sell actually work harder and work smarter and build a better business, but I definitely don't sell get rich quick because I don't know how to do that.
let's talk about you as well,
Mm.
right? So last time I saw you, which was about a month ago, you look amazing. You have been on a diet now for what, 8 months?
Yep.
And lost how much?
I have lost 25 kilos as of this morning. Yeah,
Wow.
quite
And
a lot.
what's that in stone?
I don't know. I'd have to calculate it. But
That's
yeah, it's a
about just
lot.
over 4 stone, isn't it? 4 or 5 stone.
No, it's not
That's
that much. No.
amazing. And you dropped, you're comfortably size 10 now, aren't you?
No, I wish. I wish. No, I'm a size 12 to 14 still, so I'd like to lose another stone.
I think what this embodies though is it's taken you 8 months of every single day just going, Louise, I'm eating a salad. Louise, I'm eating this. It's
Eating
not
less,
exciting.
moving more.
Not exciting. It's not sexy. You didn't have protein. You might have had protein shakes, but there was no, it was just pretty much like your coaching, doing the basics consistently, and you get phenomenal results.
Yeah, and actually, it's one of the things that, and it's not actually that long ago that I was a size 10, and but I think sacrificing your health for your business is not necessarily good. And I'm not saying that that's what I did. I put most of the weight on during COVID when I was stuck in the UK on my own for 3 months, but it's still been a gradual thing of not quite taking care of myself as much as I take care of the business and everybody else. And sometimes, yeah, those sacrifices are too much. So I made the decision that I was no longer doing that.
Good on you. Good on you. So I started a diet at the same time. I lost about 3 kilos, right? It was all great. Whoop-de-doo me and went, yay! And then just kind of moved on and forgot about it.
And that's it is actually a really good comparison, isn't it? Because I talk so much about building a sustainable, profitable business that works without you. I can't remember how many times I must have said that over the last few years, and yet people want an easy fix. And then you lose the 3 kilos, but then unfortunately you put it straight back on again. Been there, done that. But also there isn't an easy fix for your business, I don't think. Sometimes, people build amazing businesses, but I don't think in our industry people build amazing businesses overnight. And, there are other businesses that you can do that. And if you strike lucky, fantastic. But I think in the cleaning industry, it's about building a solid business from the ground up and working away at it and putting things in place until you get the result, and then you get the swimming pool in France. So, it's not rocket science what I've done. It has been hard work. I think it's been focus and a decision that that's what I wanted to do. And maybe it started there, I suppose.
I think you're right. It is very comparable to a diet. It's do the right things consistently. And I think what I see time and time again with business owners is if someone is doing the right thing and stick at it, and I think the successful people in this industry have stuck at it long enough. And the hard times come for all of us, like in a diet, like on a cruise, an all you can eat cruise. By the way, that's where the 3 kilos went, right? All you can eat. I did. It was a challenge, apparently, not an offer. But anyway, but the point is, it gets tough for all of us. And there's times when we all feel like quitting, or when a staff member steals your business, or, you know, it's all gone horribly wrong. You break something, customer doesn't pay, you know, you get a bad review, things happen, or you're just not making enough money. And I think for someone to be successful in this industry, they've hit those problems and they've just put their head down and kept going. And it's the same with the diet. It doesn't really matter if you have a bad day. It doesn't really matter if something goes wrong in the business, as long as you are consistently doing the right things over enough time. And like, we started this by saying, like, there's no way I can deny I have done the long hours. But you know, if you said, I'm going to work 5 or 6 hours a day, that's all I'm going to do, and you consistently did that over enough years, you would be just as successful. Might take a bit longer, but it would work.
Yeah. And I suppose, you know, one of the things that differentiates business owners from people that stay in a job working for somebody else is that passion and that drive. And that's not to be taken away, is it? Because that's actually what gets you started. It's what keeps you going on the bad days. But like I say, for me, it's always just that caution of, what are you building?
Yeah. Do you know the other thing I find? Again, I work quite a lot, but sometimes, and I've come to realize this over the years, there is no point in whacking out the hours, particularly if your job is creativity. So if you are having to do marketing, if you're having to do anything where you're creating a new system, anything creative, there is no point in whacking out the hours. It isn't like cleaning where you get paid by the hour. If you do an extra hour, you get an extra hour's pay. In something like marketing, I find, or you probably find as well, I can work for 2 hours really, really well and really efficiently, and I will perform with those, whatever I've created, better than had I spent 2 days working on it at another time and I'm just sort of going through the motions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it really just definitely depend on what you're doing, doesn't it? And, you know, if you're out cleaning all day, it's hard physically then to have the energy to want to do anything else. But the payback of not finding that energy to do something else is that you will then be out cleaning again the next day and the next day and the next day. And there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you're charging enough to make it worthwhile. But if your long-term goal is to build a business, then you've got to put in that extra time outside of the cleaning, haven't you?
Yeah. I think it's really hard. I think it's possible either way, but it's definitely what you see the results a lot quicker when you put in that time. And the other thing that I find about putting in, like, so say you did work a 10 or 12 hours day, in order to have the motivation to work that 10 or 12-hour day, you are completely focused on that business. And for me, if I can do 4 weeks where I focus on that business beyond anything else, I will get such good results. I can't keep that pace up. Like, I wouldn't say quite a sprint, but you know, I'm on a 5K run, not a sprint, but it's 5K and I get to the end of it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm burnt out. And then I'll go and, you know, back to working a nice 5 hours, 6 hour day, or working at a slower pace. But I definitely find that real sprint push really helps.
It's a bit like if you're going away on holiday, isn't it? I work harder in the 2 weeks before I go away, and then usually actually when I get back as well, just to prepare and make sure everything's sorted. Whereas if I could work at that pace all the time, well, I couldn't, but if I did, I would achieve amazing results. So isn't it about trying to sort of extend those periods of focus, because we can't keep it up all the time? But if you could do it for 6 weeks, then take 2 weeks where you relax a little bit, then another 6 weeks, is that a pattern that people could have more chance of sticking to, I suppose? Or actually, should you just think, be more consistent all the time rather than that full on all the time?
I think it depends on you. Like,
Mm.
I'm not great at being consistent. I like to get excited. And when I'm excited and focused, I'm like, go for it. And then I'm like, oh, I lost interest in that for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I'll still go through the basics. So no matter if you're someone that just systemically goes through the basics, like, it's like the diet. I'd happily diet for 3 or 4 weeks, have 3 or 4 weeks off, then diet for 3 or 4 weeks. And actually, as long as I don't gain it in those 3 or 4 weeks in between, it's fine. Whereas you just what's the word? Controlled, committed. Like you're
Rather work less but do it more often than have that intensity. But again, when I started the business and for periods of growth in the business, absolutely that intensity. And we still, you were saying about, you have to step in and do things for your business. Well, I was planning on traveling back to the UK at the end of May. And I've just had to change that. I was going to be seeing a friend and I was doing, had all sorts of things planned, but I've had to change my plans completely. And I'm actually coming back to the UK next week now. And that's because I have to do something in the business and I have to cover for my manager while she's off. So you do have to be adaptable, don't you, in your business and just do what needs doing whenever it needs doing. But it's just that balance, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you can work either way. And this idea, so I've often mentioned the 5 a.m. club. I love the 5 a.m. club. It's a book, right? I do not love 5 a.m. I hate 5 a.m. In
It's the
fact,
principle, though.
yeah, the only time I've seen 5 a.m. is when I've slept so badly, I'm not asleep by 5 a.m., right? I'm never getting up at 5 a.m. That's just terrible. But what the 5 a.m. club talks about is breaking that first hour of your day into like 20 minutes exercise, 20 minutes working on yourself or reading, and 20 minutes planning for the day, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read it. I think it's those three things that makes your day super, super efficient. I'm totally on board with that, just not up for 5 a.m. I'd rather do it at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and thing is, that's how I found work-life balance when Emma was younger and still at home when I first started the business. Was I would stop work when she got home from school. So obviously all cleaning was sorted at that stage. So I just made sure that I was just away from my desk for a couple of hours. But then once she was either doing homework or we'd had tea or whatever, she was doing her own thing, I would then go back and do a bit more work in the evening. And that's how I sort of found that balance where I could still be around after schools. That's I'm not definitely never going to be a 5 a.m. In fact, actually one of the things I love the most about living in France is I'm an hour ahead, so I can get up at 9 o'clock in the morning and it's only 8 o'clock at work, so it's good for me from that point of view. But we have friends around the corner who get up at 6 a.m. every single day, but they're asleep by 9 o'clock at night, and I'm just like, well, what's the difference? I'm asleep by midnight, but I don't get up until 8, 9 o'clock. They're asleep by 9 and they get up at 6. It's exactly the same amount of time in the day. I'm not losing any time by not liking 6 a.m.
I'll tell you what I do think works well, and you mentioned it there, and again, going back to diets, preparation. So if you plan your day perfectly and have put the time and effort into planning it, and I don't just mean the schedule, I mean genuine planning your day. So the keys are all in the right place, the kit's in the right place, everything's right. The kids, you know exactly what time they're being picked up. And instead of going, oh, what am I going to do for dinner? Maybe I'll nip to the chippy or whatever. You've planned your meals, you've got everything right, and then this evening or the kids are going to want to go to an activity. If I sit there and I've taken my kids to a soft play area, to a party, and I've been sewing up uniforms while sat with the other mums at a kids party because it needed doing and I had no time to do it, so I planned to do it then. And I think we could be, sometimes it isn't about working harder, it is about smarter, because the work needs to be done. Or for example, particularly if you're trying to balance a family, you take them somewhere, you take them to football on a Saturday morning, and at that time, you've got to do your social media posting, or you've got to answer emails, and I'm really sorry, I'm sort of going to look up when I can, but I've got an hour at that time that I have to dedicate to that. And if you plan that in advance, you will do it. Whereas at the time, it's like, oh, I'm just watching my son, this is something I've got to do, and it's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's also an element of there you want to be present for your kids and your family as well. And constant distractions are, especially with our mobile phones, they're a big thing, aren't they? And I definitely use it as a distraction when I'm watching telly because it keeps me awake. Otherwise, I'll nod off while I'm watching telly. So I'll be doing something on my phone at the same time, multitasking. But I think if your kids are there, I don't know. I prefer. I mean, this is talking for the mum of grown-up children. I'm glad there weren't mobile phones and that constant need to be on it when they were younger, because I do think you want to be present for them, don't you?
Yes, but so I'm talking about mine that are 11 and 14 now.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, when I went to a soft play, they wanted nothing to do with me. So why couldn't I sit and do
No,
whatever I
no,
was
I'm
doing?
not. I wasn't saying in particular. I'm just sort of thinking that we've got to be careful. It's that balance, isn't it? Between you want to use your time more effectively, but you want to also make sure that you didn't miss the goal or whatever's going on.
I mean, I'm not really interested in football, in my own kids playing it. And like, especially if my kids went to like a half an hour tennis lesson or something. I mean, great if you're the kind of mum that really wants to watch every tennis lesson. But I mean, I knew who they were playing. I roughly had an idea what they were doing. Like, I don't feel it makes me any worse for mum that I was sat there getting emails sent rather than watching every terrible hit or every game they play. Like, there's times when it's really important to be present, and there's times when it's like, I might as well use my time efficiently.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it wasn't sort of a criticism of anybody because we all do what we can, don't we? And like I said, I've already said that, there were times when I did sacrifice too much of family time for the business, and I try not to do it now. But the kids are grown up now, so it's there isn't as much family time to sacrifice, is there? But it's nice because they get to come over and see me in France, and I see them when I go over. But yeah, I suppose as business owners, we take those risks, but it's got to be a payback for me to make, the risk of our time, of our money, our passion, our energy. There has to be a bit of a payback at some point, surely.
What do you think the payback should be that we should be looking for? You and I want different things, don't
Yeah.
we? Like,
And
my worst nightmare is having to own a swimming pool and have to keep it clean and all of that. I don't want it categorically. But like, this is the thing. What are we really working for?
I think that's the thing. There's nothing right or wrong in what anybody wants, and what, if somebody came to me and as a coach and said, actually, I want to work 12-hour days going out cleaning because I absolutely love it. I just want to make more money doing it. I'd be like, fair play to you. I couldn't resonate with that, but that's their choice, isn't it? But everybody's different. I mean, one of my coaching clients has literally just bought a house by the sea. It's a second home, so this. But that was their goal 2 years ago. That's what they wanted to do, and that's what we've been coaching them towards. And it's brilliant. It's fantastic, and it's like that's not. They didn't want my dream. I didn't want theirs, and we're all different. We should all want different things. Otherwise, life would be very boring. But for me, it's all about if you know what you want, you can focus on it and build a business that will get you there.
Do you know what I want? I don't think I've ever told about this. It's not a material thing. So what I want and what I've always wanted is to build a life whereby I don't want to go on holiday because my life is a holiday. So you enjoy every aspect of it. So it was really interesting having just come back from a lovely, lovely holiday. And it was great because obviously all my family were there, and that part I really liked. But actually, I was like, do you know, I love my life. I like to be able to get up and do an hour's dog walk. I want this. I love my house. I love everything we do. And I was like, actually, do you know, maybe I am a lot of the way towards having the time freedom is what I want to feel like life is a holiday.
I agree. I think there's a lot to be said for not needing a holiday. Travel by all means and go and see different things, but that's very different to needing a holiday. I see a lot of this. I booked myself a week away because I just needed to sit and unwind. And I'm just like, can't you do that at home? Or couldn't you just travel for the sake of travel rather than needing a rest?
Yeah, but I think you and I are at the stage in our lives where we are like, I still am working very, very hard, but I now get to pick what I work on.
Yeah. And that's like we've talked about the difference between, when you retire, if you love what you do, and we've talked about this, I'm 60 this year, and it's sort of like, do I want to retire? Yes and no. I don't need to retire because I enjoy what I do. But I've shortened my diary, so I'm definitely taking more time, and especially as the weather starts to warm up, my diary will be even less available. Right?
I know, Diane. I regularly get told, Louise, forget about speaking to me in July and August. I'm like, okay.
The
But
weather's warm.
what she says to me is, Louise, you're going to be working very hard in May and June because I'm taking July and August off. And I'm like, okay, then.
Nothing wrong with that. I think but that's about working harder now so that we don't have to work in July and August, isn't it? Isn't it the same principle?
Yeah, it just doesn't always work for me. My busiest time is like probably April through till September. And so that's like mega busy. And you go, and let's front load how hard it is. I'm like, oh my God, this is really hard now.
You're always grateful at the time when you can concentrate on the bees in July and August. consider what
Thrilled.
we're doing.
So I'm just like, yeah, give me more work to do. But yes, so in conclusion about working smarter, not harder, the conclusion is we both pretty much agree there's a time and a place. It's about working consistently. That's number one. And
Yeah.
number two, as a business owner, sometimes you do have to work harder
Yeah.
than anyone else.
So really, work smart and work hard sometimes. It's a combination of both.
Yeah, it's be smart about when you're working hard. Don't consistently work hard and expect anything to change. Do not go out and clean and clean and clean and clean and clean and clean and think that you're going to grow a business. You're not. You are just going to clean a lot of things. Is that the answer, Diane?
Not really sure. But we did start this by saying, I'm not smart, I just work harder than you. I'm not sure that that's really true. I think that I think we're all just crazy business owners, aren't we?
Yeah. And I think the one thing I will say when I speak to friends is they are envious that we've got the time freedom. So I can pick up my kids, I can drop them off every day, I can walk the dog, I can do everything I want to do. But then the reality comes when they're like, oh, by the way, do you want to just, I'm at the pub near you on Friday night. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I've got 3 hours work planned in. So I find it quite hard sometimes to do impromptu things. I have complete freedom over what I do in my diary, but I am working 10-hour days. So I find that it's very different. At 5 o'clock, they get to finish stressed or not stressed. It could be either way, but they can walk out and forget about it on a Friday night. For me, it's like, right, I'm working 3 hours on Friday night. I've got to do 5 or 6 hours on a Saturday. And then Sunday, we're out at Alton Towers, but I might pick up these emails. There is no stop.
No, whereas when you work for somebody else, generally, yeah, you don't even have a phone with you, do you, that has anything to do with work outside of work?
No, but I don't see it as working hard. And I guess this is the mentality. It's not unusual to clock up. I could comfortably clock up 15 hours every weekend, but I don't see it as work.
No, and that's the difference. But is that because it's your business or your businesses in your case, that you've still got the passion and the drive for them, so it's not work anyway? Or is it actually not, you're just doing stuff that you enjoy anyway, so you don't see it as work?
So I have always said I wouldn't do a job unless I'd be prepared to do it for free. And I can honestly say every single job and every business I own, I have done for free. I mean, there's times when I've cleaned for free. DCBM, we launched it for free. The bees, it was for free. Everything I've ever done, I have done it without getting paid. Now, luckily, I do now get paid for all of them, which is nice. But yeah, every single one I have and would. And if the time came, I'd do it again for free.
But is that not because your thoughts are, I'm going to be able to turn this into something that isn't free, or is it you're doing it for the love of it?
I think everything I choose to do, I do for the love of it. But I think about me, I'm hardwired to make money. So I love running businesses. So while I would do something for free, and I do it for free, and I do believe in charity work, ultimately, there's a point where I go, well, hang on a second, I'm doing this for free, but I could make money from it. It doesn't mean I've necessarily stopped doing it for free. And I found this quite hard. I was volunteering with a D of E group and I was teaching them, and I had a lot of responsibility having a lot of teenagers looking after them. And then, as part of the insurance thing, this company that I was working with, an outdoor pursuits provider, said, right, you've got to come on our books for insurance reasons. And by the way, you can now take on freelance jobs and we'll now pay you to do what you were doing for free. And I was like, okay, I can do it for free or you'll pay me £400. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, do I continue doing it for free? But I could do the same thing at the same time and be paid money. And then it became quite tricky. But I'd done all the qualifications and I'd done it all for free because I loved it. And I find it's the same with business. You do it because you love it. And then you get so skilled at it that you realize, oh, I can really make decent money at it.
Interesting. Yeah. So really that's about being smart though, isn't it? So you were
Is it
working
about
hard at something and then you got smart and went, actually, this is an opportunity. And I suppose most of us that start cleaning businesses, we do it a bit of a means to an end to start with, isn't it? Whether it's working around family or replacing an income or just think it works better for us. But hopefully eventually we start to build something that rewards us other than for our time cleaning.
you're more purposeful about it? You've got more of a plan, don't you? Whereas I just go, I just love doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that comes from my action coach days, though, really, of, learning from business owners that were completely outside the cleaning industry and just realizing how hard they all worked, but actually that if they put systems in place and focused on the end game, their businesses got better. So I knew that way before starting my business. I suppose I've always had that advantage of having seen how other businesses got transformed using systems and coaching. I know that it works, and I applied it all to mine.
So I'm going to ask the question, what's the goal at the moment, Diane? What is it? Is it time freedom? Is it two pools? What is it?
It's to enjoy what we've got, actually. I don't need any more material things. So for me, it's about time. Like I say, I've got a big birthday coming up this year, and everybody in my age group is, and I can't swear on our podcast, but it's the effort years. Um, which is basically, that the next 20 years are as good as it's going to get. And it sounds a bit sort of pessimistic to anybody that's a lot younger, but actually it's not. It's quite freedom giving to just go, I don't care anymore. I'm going to enjoy myself. And so for me, that's what it's going to be about for the next however many years, is traveling. We're going away for my birthday and for our anniversary, which is the same weekend. We're going to a place called Carcassonne, which is a Bastide town. Beautiful. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. It's about 5 hours drive from us. So it's about traveling and enjoying life rather than a specific goal, if that makes sense.
Did you know Carcassonne's a game?
No, I didn't know that.
If you're a gamer, which we are in our house, Carcassonne is one of the most competitive games. It was a board game where you have little
Oh,
meeples
okay.
and you build a city and things.
Oh.
It's a very competitive game. I might have to get you Carcassonne for your birthday,
Oh.
Diane. Remember it.
Well, we're having a big party in July, so you can come over and you can bring it.
No, I was talking about your party earlier, and I was like, are we going to do it? So we are just trying to find childcare. Childcare is a lot harder when you have two dogs as well. Going, so
Yeah.
basically someone has to stay for 4 days.
You can come. Yeah, it's going to be good fun. We've got probably about, I think we've got about 13 people staying in the house. We've got several people staying nearby, and then obviously all the people we know locally. Yeah, it's going to be a big do. Pool party.
Love it. Oh gosh. Does this mean I better lose those 3 kilos again?
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you very, very much. And I hope everyone listening to this, make up your own minds. How are you going to work? But the most important thing is have a plan and be consistent.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
Louise.
much.